Good evening. You've joined us right here on the India Development Debate. I'm Taneia Bhardwaj. This is a government that champions the cause of the girl child with its flagship Beti Bachao campaign. This is a government that takes pride in having both defence and external affairs ministries headed by women. This is also a government that has a woman as the leading lady of parliament. But when it comes to protecting the dignity of women, the NDA government may have drawn a blank. More than 3 days after serious sexual harassment charges were levelled against MJ Akbar, the Minister of State for External Affairs, not a word has come from the government condemning the act. So far, 10 former colleagues of Akbar have come forth with graphic descriptions of his alleged misbehavior during his stint as the editor of various newspapers and publications. But the self-proclaimed champions of women's rights have suddenly gone missing. We at ET Now have been championing the Rise with India theme for over the past 1 year, and on this special edition of the India Development Debate, we're going to discuss ways to make India a better workplace. And for that discussion, I've got three special guests who are joining in on the show. Political commentator and senior journalist Neerja Chaudhary is with us. We've also got Sanjeev Srivastava, also a senior journalist and political commentator, and senior lawyer Abha Singh joins in as well. Good evening to all three of you, and thank you so much for taking the time out. Neerja, let me begin by asking you, the chorus calling for MJ Akbar's resignation has, quite frankly hit a crescendo. You've got nearly a dozen journalists that have outed him, detailing their heart-wrenching stories. Is it not untenable for him to continue as junior foreign minister?
I think, it is with so many journalists who are credible names, credible bylines, making such serious charges against MJ Akbar, and the kind of charges that when he was editor, supposedly meant to lead them, responsible for them, to train them, to encourage them, to look after their safety, is the one who was, the allegations are that he was the one who sexually harassed them repeatedly with those kind of serious charges. The surprising thing is that the government of India is silent, hasn't said a word. Either way, that Mr. MJ Akbar is completely silent, hasn't said a single word. And given the enormity of the challenges, yes, Mr. Akbar should step down. Of course, the due process should take place. Of course, an inquiry should be conducted. But while the inquiry is going on, I think, given that the way the charges, of course, there's no FIR as would happen normally, and it's a very unusual situation we are in. But given the enormity of the charges, yes, I think he should take moral responsibility. And if he doesn't take moral responsibility, then the government should really persuade him to take that responsibility.
Let me ask you the same question. Isn't it disconcerting, the silence that we've seen from New Delhi? Sushma Swaraj may have, ducked questions yesterday. At least Smriti Irani today was a little more forthcoming. She said, look, let Mr. MJ Akbar explain himself. Maneka Gandhi also, in an interview to another channel, has said that there should be an inquiry. What is the government waiting for? Sanjeev Srivastava.
I think the die is frankly cast. It would have been nicer had the Mr. Akbar apologized and quit on his own by now. But what we are hearing, the buzz since this afternoon in Delhi, is that the government is waiting for MJ Akbar to return from his trip to Nigeria. He has apparently been asked to cut short his visit. I think in any case it was coming to an end over the weekend. So he's coming back. I think he'll get an audience with the senior leadership of the party and the government, and if he has very honestly any self-respect or shame or any kind of even little bit of the high ideals and the lofty ideals he used to commend to or refer to in his writings, if he's even 1% of that as a person, he should have quit by now, but better late than never. I think it's just a matter of time before MJ Akbar goes. And that will be really one big victory for the MeToo movement, one big victory for whatever justice for women in workplace, the right kind of atmosphere. Because Mr. Akbar's case is something like Neerja would perhaps vouch for, and we all know this was the biggest open secret in the Indian media industry, that that's the way he has been all through. Those have been the kind of allegations, and he has always been referred to in these terms. So finally destiny has caught up with him, and thanks to this movement. So, well, we just have to wait, I guess. It's a matter of hours, not days, I guess.
But, Abha Singh, let me ask you, why wait at all? I mean, you know, Sanjeev says that the centers apparently asked him to cut short his trip, but then there are contrary reports suggesting that he might actually extend his trip by 2 days and he'll only come back by Sunday. Instead of evading the questions, shouldn't he be more forthcoming to try and, you know, clarify his stand and even maybe defend himself? Should we be giving him a chance to defend himself at all?
You know, maybe he is thinking that the media hue and cry will die down and he would sail through. Also, laws of natural justice say that you have to hear his side. So, maybe he will come back and give his explanation, but taking moral responsibility, he must step down. I am worried about the staff in the External Affairs Department with the track record that he has. It is surprising that he was given this minister post, because every public post there is a character verification, there is a police verification. I am surprised that without any verifications he was given such an important charge, and when as the learned speaker was saying that everybody in the corridors would talk about his past dalliances, I would say, and they are not small things, they are offences as per 354 of the IPC. These are cognizable, non-bailable, non-compoundable offences, the way women have come out and written, and these are sufficient for the police to register an FIR. In fact, I would say even in Tanushri Datta case, Mumbai police delayed the case by 15 days. Why are politicians not letting police do its job? That is a big question which MeToo has raised, that the women in this country are scared to go to the police station to lodge a complaint, but have the courage now to write it on the social media. That means our system has become so useless, the police is so corrupt or inefficient, and politicians have not taken care of the responsibility, that women have nowhere but only to write it on the social media.
Abha Singh, actually, that's something we will, you know, sort of deep dive into a little later on in the show. But Nisha, let me bring it back to MJ Akbar. The other thing that's very bothersome is that he's out of the country, he's representing India abroad. You know, isn't that even more shameful? Because we're being seen as this nation that clearly doesn't care about the dignity of our women.
Absolutely, you know, and I think if you want to retrieve the situation and you want to show that dignity of women, security, safety of women matter to the government, matter to the society, then the quicker he goes, the better for your own image abroad. And that's why I find this, you know, prolonging it all very painful. I think as a country, particularly when he is abroad, he should have been asked to cut short his visit and come back, and a view taken on this whole issue. If the government feels he has to continue, so be it, let the government state it. But they are not taking a position, nor, very surprisingly, nor has he come out with a single word in his defense to say, no, this is not true, not even that.
Your reading of the situation, what's keeping the Modi government from asking, you know, Akbar to quit or sacking him? Because it's not like there aren't precedents in the past where you've seen, you know, an NDA minister and even an RSS, you know, Pracharak being given the boot on sexual harassment charges.
See, as far as Modi government goes, that their track record has been to kind of just have an ostrich-like attitude or a very arrogant attitude towards any kind of criticism. And I remember a couple of years ago, one of the senior ministers in this government actually made a comment that this is not a government where ministers will resign on allegations or charges. So they have this attitude of trying to brazen it out, and the top leadership, including the Prime Minister, actually chooses to remain silent on most of the big issues which confront his government, or if there are allegations. And the reason or rationale often offered is that the Prime Minister will not be reacting to any and everything. But I think for Mr. Modi, this is one of those issues where it is perhaps very difficult for him to remain silent. He should not have remained silent till now. He would have sent out a great message to his constituency. After all, when his government professes of bringing about the triple talaq ordinance or Beti Bachao Beti Padhao or the Ujjwala scheme, all those things, all the flagship schemes of the government, they kind of come to a naught, or at least are symbolically neutralized if you are not able to stand by with 7, 8, 10 journalists, women journalists who have come out and leveled these serious allegations against MJ Akbar. I think the government has lost a great opportunity, if anything, politically. If they had acted with electricity, sacked MJ Akbar on the day one, or asked him to quit on his own on day one, they would have actually come across as a more sensitive and responsive regime. Right now, they are looking like very stubborn, adamant, refusing to meet the allegations in the eye, refusing to accept these charges, and I find this behavior very strange. So, you can't have, you have to have horses for courses. You can't have a similar strategy that we'll just brazen it out, we'll just not react to it. It's not a Rafale, it's not any other controversy. It is a simple, open and shut case.
Yeah,
they
you
should
can't
have
have
acted
blinders
by
on.
now.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
it's strange, but then strange are the ways of governments.
Right. We've also got Tara Krishnaswamy. She's a women rights activist and she's joining in on the phone line. Let's quickly, connect with her. Tara, good evening and thanks for taking the time. Ours is a government that takes pride in the fact that traditionally male-dominated ministries like the defense and foreign affairs are held by women. The conspicuous silence from the government, wouldn't you say, reeks of hypocrisy?
Good evening. Yeah, thank you for having me. And, the Chilean president, Michelle Bachelet, who has been a champion for gender equity, famously said that when one woman is a leader, it changes her. When more women are leaders, it changes politics and policy. Now, the point is that while it is commendable that we have, several women ministers and in high positions, it is not about placing individuals in positions. It is about the politics and policy that the government is following. And the previous government is not excusable either from this sort of approach. If you look at the current government, when you have a minister in such a high position who has been outed by such credible sources, you would expect government to make a statement. You would at least expect the party to make a statement, because Mr. MJ Akbar really wears two hats. One is as a member of the party, which is the ruling party, and another is a minister of the government. He is representing India. He is a representative of India. So when such serious allegations are leveled against him, the minimum that's required is for them to make a statement. Now, but this is not surprising, because you take the Unnao case where the primary accused, rape accused of POCSO, a minor, is an MLA, sitting BJP MLA who continues to be a sitting BJP MLA, right, despite the CBI charge sheeting him. There are numerous such instances where there has been radio silence from the government and absolutely no action taken against these accused, who the CBI has made a statement saying that they have evidence. So what I'm saying is that the government does not have a track record that infuses confidence in women about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Really, Beti Bachao should mean that, such people ko bhagao, right? But that is not what is happening.
Yeah.
So it is not about placing individuals in
Right,
positions.
right.
You've got to have politics and policy that toes that line.
Yes, right. Let's come back to the point that you were making. Has social media provided the platform to women that perhaps our legal system has failed to offer? And I'll just put forth an example here. Take for example the rape trial of Tarun Tejpal. It was meant to be fast-tracked in 8 months, 5 years on. He's on bail and the case has been delayed. Should the delay in India's criminal jurisprudence be held responsible for women remaining so silent for so long? Because justice delayed is justice denied.
Very true. I would also take the case of Asaram, where 3 witnesses have been shot dead. The case has been going on for years and years. And can you imagine witnesses being killed?
Yes.
It's a clear thing to tell that don't come forward. And that is the reason that in rape cases, the conviction is only 29%. That means more than half of the rapists go scot-free. Definitely the judicial system is responsible to some extent, and also we don't have things called witness protection. There is so much corruption in the police. The attitude of police is not good. When a victim goes to register a complaint, she is slut-shamed. These are issues, of course they are there, but more than that is the issue that the cases are delayed for years and years. Here we are ready to say that Tanushree Datta has taken 10 years to come back and register a case. Well, nobody says that you take 20 years for a case to go on trial. What about that? And when the law says that any punishment which is more than 3 years, there is no limitation period. So when they have put 354 of the IPC, punishment is up to 5 years. So I would like to tell the country that you cannot say that 10 years will be applicable here. It is not barred by limitation. So what is important is that the system needs to be in order, and definitely women who have come forward have not got justice, and that is they have kept quiet. If you remember the Verma Commission, which was set up after Nirbhaya, Justice Verma said that I would like rape and sexual offences to be treated as a crime, not a stigma or something to be ashamed of. And from today, the way Bravehearts have come out and spoken, the way Vinita Nanda has come out and spoken about a rape, it clearly shows that our women have got over that stigma, shame or brushing it under the carpet. They want justice, and that is why they have raised their voice.
Neerja, as a woman, do you believe that at the heart of the debate is the lack of, sensibility that's stemming from this false concept of patriarchy, making it difficult for women to come out and narrate their harrowing ordeal? Without the sensibility or compassion, can our workplaces get rid of these sexual predators? It's almost as if to say that, as a woman, you need to be subservient if you want to make it big.
Yeah, no, I think, a very seminal moment was the Nirbhaya case, when normally the rape victim is the one who's ostracized, stigmatized. Nirbhaya became the icon of the whole country. And a lot of women found voice in coming out and saying, I've been raped, or filing cases and FIRs. So also the coming out of these women, a dozen of them, you must imagine the kind of courage it would have taken these young women to come out with what they have actually come out with. And I think it's been, as I say, it's been like catharsis.
Yes.
That silence which has surrounded issues of sexual harassment of women, that silence has been shattered. And I think it's going to have to my mind, it's a milestone moment.
Yeah.
For this to actually happen.
Right.
And the other part of it is, this is not like a corruption case or something that, this is like, if your women in the country are not going to be safe at their workplaces and actually violated by those who are responsible for them, who are supposed to make sure that they are safeguarded, then that's a very serious charge. It's not a normal charge. And the government cannot say, there's no FIR, convert their letters and their what they've said on the social media as FIRs.
Yeah.
Like you used to have a letter written to the Chief Justice of India at one time, converted into a PIL. Do that. Can the judiciary do that? Can the judiciary take note of it suo moto if the government doesn't do anything?
Yes. Abha, actually,
you cannot, what has happened, you cannot take it lightly in a country.
Right. Abha, you wanted to make a point, and I just wanted to sort of add to that. A lot of us watching this program today perhaps are not even aware of the legal recourse that's, available to us.
Exactly, and one more thing I would like to say, that this MeToo campaign has exposed that the corporates have not put the internal complaints committee in order. 2013 Act which came, Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace, after the Vishaka guidelines direction by the Supreme Court, clearly shows that there are no internal complaints committee, they are not NGOs who are members of that, and women are not getting justice over there, and that is why they have kept quiet. So and also the Women Commission is a toothless body, it can only summon, but it cannot get an FIR registered. And more than that, definitely these letters can be converted into FIRs, because 154 of the CRPC very clearly says that mere information of an offence is sufficient to register an FIR. So this clearly shows that the police is not doing its job, and they can very well register an FIR, but why they take so much time means either it is corruption or it is political interference. Like in MJ Akbar's case, they could have at least registered an FIR and started taking down the statements of these women under 164 of the CRPC, that is in front of a magistrate, so that they later don't turn hostile or they are not pressurized to withdraw their statements. Rather than doing that, they are waiting for the government or waiting for MJ Akbar to arrive, and it's bizarre that the government has kept quiet, and definitely Beti Bachao has become a big scam in this country.
Tara, let me ask you this question. You know, there's also an opinion out there that the present MeToo movement is really limited to the privileged urban class. Because let's face it, hashtags cannot be a solution to really stem the rot in our society. What becomes of, the marginalized, the more vulnerable, the less articulate?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's been making the rounds. Really, a couple of comments along this, right? Whether it's the independence movement or any movement after that, even what happened as an outrage to Nirbhaya, and here in Bangalore we've had a steel flyover, anti-steel flyover movement. It's typically the privileged upper middle class that can afford to come out because they are the only ones that have the luxury of doing that. If you're a daily wage earner, right, you don't have the time to go protest even for your own cause until you're pushed to the absolute extreme, right? So the independence movement in India was led by some of the richest people, right? The most amazing people that, put the country ahead of themselves, but they were extremely privileged class. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's got to start somewhere. But the second comment I'd like to make is related to that, which is that there is no silver bullet for these things. It's silly to imagine that you can do the one thing that's going to fix sexual harassment in this country or anywhere, because you're talking about millennia of this. Ever since humankind has existed, there are examples of these things. Even in our own mythologies, whether it is Draupadi being disrobed in the middle of the palace with her husband watching and the entire court watching, there are numerous such examples of these things. So when this is a long process and there has to be a beginning somewhere, and it's a fantastic beginning because the first thing is the women have to come out, the victims have to come out, the people that are affected have to come out and say enough. Enough is enough. Now it's time for change. That is the beginning. It's not enough if you just, laws are absolutely essential, but they're necessary, not sufficient. Ambedkar has pointed out time and again that you've got to have political, legal and social change go hand in hand. And, you can have the most liberal laws, but
Tara, I've got just 1 minute more left. And so I just want to oblige Sanjeev because, we need to ask him one question. And Sanjeev, I'll let you have the last word. You began by saying that, what MJ Akbar's behavior with his colleagues was an open secret. Is it also not time for the media industry then to, introspect? Those who've enabled these celebrated journalists, these rock star journalists, to, go about in the manner that they've conducted themselves?
Well, thank you for obliging me, Tanya. The other thing was, see, I think celebrated journalists like MJ Akbar have got their due. They will be out now sooner or later from their positions of power. Also, I think the media industry should be given credit that we are perhaps, the media is, whatever you may say, more empowered, more enlightened, more bold, more courageous, more upper middle class privileged, just more spunky and with more spine that they have at least come out. What about the other cases? Whether it's corporates, politics, Bollywood also, couple of cases, and then everything is silent, television industry also. So at least media has turned out to be, and hats off to women journalists and to others, to men journalists also who have supported them, who have actually had the guts to come out and speak their mind, and somehow, like Nirja said, moment of catharsis. But what about the others? What about that man who has been accused yesterday by 4 girls who said he'll issue a Twitter reaction in 10 minutes, who used to pontificate every evening on national television channels during the last UPA regime about everything under the sun. Now, where is he hiding? Why isn't he being called out and outed and asked to, a case registered against him? So, MJ Akbar, in all fairness, high profile target, needs to go, but the others need to be punished as well and need to be exposed as well. They cannot just let the media spotlight shift away from them.
Okay, Sanjeev, Neerja, Abha and Tara, thank you so much for taking the time out for us. It's been a cathartic month of painful revelations and left many of us searching for rational answers to questions about the workplace, about justice, about the way in which we really conduct our private lives. It's not just about MJ Akbar, it's not just about the MeToo movement, it's not just about the Vishaka guidelines. Instead, it's about the dignity of women at the workplace. We leave you with that thought tonight. Thanks for watching.